Cleanup efforts are happening now in Florida after Hurricane Milton ripped through the state, leaving a path of destruction and forcing millions of people from their homes. But what about the 30,000 people in the state who don't have a home and they have nowhere to flee to? Emergency shelters were open during the hurricane, but what happens to the unhoused once the cleanup is complete? For more on this side of the story, let's bring in Jeffrey Noose, Executive Director of the Daily Bread. Firstly, good morning to you. You're outside, obviously. Tell us where you are and what you're seeing.
So I'm outside of our outreach center here in Brevard County in Melbourne, and it's still pretty gusty here. We've got the tail end of the winds, and lots of down branches and things like that. And getting ready to open up our outreach center to help people get what they need to kind of survive another day on the street. It might be a shower, might be a meal, and then we go from there.
You've been speaking with people. What has their experience been like over the last 48 hours?
So it was frightening, especially in the run up to the hurricane. A lot of uncertainty in the midst of that vulnerability of being on the street. Fortunately, we were able to help a lot of our neighbors in need get into storm shelter. So the storm shelters are there for people that are evacuating their homes, but our community has made sure to allow people that don't have a home to also take shelter there, these most vulnerable.
I would think that communicating with people to let them know the hurricane was coming in the first place, that presents some challenges, I would think. How do you get the message out?
Yeah, that's right. So our outreach teams were spreading the word. We made announcements and updates. But even the day before the hurricane, I spent a lot of time, our team spent a lot of time really explaining the situation and encouraging people who may be a little reluctant to go into the storm shelter.
Jeffrey, how many shelter spaces are typically available for people who are unhoused in the state of Florida?
So typically in our community, which is Brevard County, a county of a little over 500,000 people, we have just a handful of shelter spaces. So this is a critical need in our community. We don't have what you might call low barrier shelter where somebody can just show up and stay for the night. And so storm shelters are even more essential.
Earlier this month, I understand the state of Florida banned encampments and sleeping on public property. So how did that impact communities as preparations were underway for Milton?
So it sows a lot of distrust and concern that people are unwanted or somehow a danger. And so people experiencing homelessness are feeling that stigma. It has not helped to build the relationships that are necessary to overcome a homeless situation.
So how long do we expect these emergency shelters to be open for?
So they were open on a very limited basis for one night, only during the most intense aspect of the storm. So we helped everybody get onto the buses. Our public transportation system brought people to the shelters and then returned them here yesterday. So they're already closed.
So where's everyone going?
That is the important and challenging and even devastating question.
I think about the fact that you're taking care of people's physical needs, but I have to think about the emotional needs of all of these people. Is there a way that that's addressed right now?
Yep. So we have a licensed mental health counselor team that seeks to address those concerns. It's a challenge every day. So the hurricane does exacerbate the moment of crisis, but really when you're homeless, you're in a constant crisis.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jeffrey Noose, obviously it's important work that you and your team do. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.